Welcome everybody. I'm Anil Bhagwati, your host for today. Welcome to another session hosted by Coaches for You, formed by volunteers from the ICF India coaching community and actually even outside of India nowadays. Today's session is learning to make a difference with empathy. And to take us through our session is our experienced coach, Kharrthikheyan. Karthik is a leadership, career, and a team coach based in Hilversum in Holland. And through his coaching conversations, he empowers individuals and teams with insights that help them get clarity on what they want, find meaning in what they do, accomplish their goals, and be happy and fulfilled. I'm really excited to participate in this session today and to learn a new way of showing and developing empathy to make a conscious difference to others in my life. And I hope you are too. So I would like to invite Karthik to take over from here and guide us through this session. Welcome everyone and welcome Karthik. Thank you.
Thank you, Anil, and welcome everyone. Glad to meet you all through this Coaches for You platform. And also thank you to Anu and say the entire CFY team for this opportunity. Since we are meeting in the digital platform, we'll start off with a quick digital activity. So for all those who have joined this webinar with an intent to make a difference, shall we have an applause? You can have reactions. You can use reactions, which is there in the bottom of the screen, and maybe have applause. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And for anything during the session, whatever is said, it resonates with you or you agree with that, you could also express your reaction with a thumbs up symbol. Yeah. Thanks. So now I'm going to say something. If you agree, you could give a thumbs up. So I'm going to enjoy the next 50 minutes here. Yeah, thank you. And now the second one. I will focus on the session without any distractions for the next 50 minutes. Thank you for your responses. So before we start, just the context, like when we look at whatever is happening today, in terms of countries are being pushed to balance health and life of the economy of their own people and health and life of their own people. And organizations now are struggling between growth and survival. And we in our families, some of us are maybe live in forced separation. So we are all going through challenging times. But when I reflect back on my life and when I went through a challenging time and what I really helped me, what I really find is I had people to support me, and that's what helped me. And we as humans today and even before have the ability to support people through empathy. And for instance, this initiative Coaches for You is itself born out of empathy to support people. So how does it feel for you when you have someone to listen to you and maybe understand your point of view and can feel what you're going through? And that's what empathy is. And my favorite quote on empathy is what is Alfred Adler said. Empathy is seeing through the eyes of another and listening with the ears of another and feeling with the heart of another. So with this small introduction, we'll move on to the session. So before I move in, I would like to ask you one question. So how many of you have experienced empathy in life? Again, can we have a thumbs up if it is a yes? Yes, thank you. So this session today, we are going to use or leverage or draw upon your experience of empathy in co-creating this session. So I invite you to participate. So I'm just sharing my screen now. So as I said, we'll be drawing on your experience of empathy. So in empathy, there is always a giver and a receiver of empathy. And just recollect a situation when you were the receiver of empathy, when someone else empathized with you. How did you feel in that situation? Could you type your responses in the chat box? So I request Anil to help me with whatever responses that you see.
Yeah. Supported, connected and cared for.
Okay.
Comforted. I'm not alone. Felt heard. Feels awesome and gives me a shift. Accepted. Understood.
Okay, thank you for the responses. Now let's switch roles and see, recollect the situation when you were the giver of empathy, when you showed empathy to another. How did you feel in that situation? Please give your responses in the chat box.
Connected, humble. Empathizing with you right now by reading it. Happy, emotionally connected, blessed.
Yeah. So thank you all for your responses. So like as somebody who received empathy, I really felt light and maybe loved. And as somebody who received empathy, I felt trusted. So I also see a lot of feelings, positive feelings that has come up. Now, as we move into empathy, like in these situations, how did you show empathy? Like what did you do to show empathy when you recollected that? Also, could you share your responses in the chat box? Like as you share your responses, like I will share of ways that I know that people show empathy. Like listening. Listening is one of the ways of showing empathy. My wife said, I don't want to live. My husband's listening just helped her to change a decision. A talented professional quit his job, and a manager's listening helped him to change his decision. So listening without judgment makes a lot of difference. As Carl Rogers said, to have someone listen without judgment feels damn good. So not only in critical situations, if we listen more in our lives, I think it makes a lot of difference. The other way that I know of is understand. As you see in this Ferry wheel, imagine a kid who's in the top of the wheel and maybe at the bottom of the wheel, and another kid at the bottom of the wheel. So the world that they see is the same, but from where they see it is different. That actually makes all the difference. And this difference we see in our homes, in our teams, in our organizations, when we just pause for a moment and then say, what's the other person's point of view? So what do you think? And that makes a lot of difference. And feeling empathy is about, it could be pleasure, moments of pleasure, or it could be moments of pain. Like it's my first job, or maybe I lost maybe a loved one in my life. Could be either, but having someone who could feel what I'm going through, again, makes a lot of difference. Now, because I listen, and because I understand, and because maybe I also share that feeling to some extent, I want to help. And that's what it's about acting. So helping to really show empathy. It could be as simple as giving a hug after listening to your loved one, or it could be maybe say you want to cook a meal to your partner because you want to give time for them to do what they love. So it could be even simple actions, or it could be anything related to even financial contribution too. But ultimately, because you listen, because you understand, because you feel you want to help. The key thing is to listen, to understand, to feel, to act, to show empathy. Openness and genuine interest in others are two key things. Open to newness, open to new people, open to new perspectives, and the genuine interest in others, a genuine care to help. So what happens now when we listen more, when we understand more, and when we feel more, and when we share the feeling with more? What happens, like when you show more of empathy more frequently than today, and in many more situations than we do today, and maybe to more people than we do today. So this we do as a group activity where you're going to share your views on two questions. Like, what is the impact of the above? Like, when you show more of empathy, more frequently, in many more situations, and to more people, what is the impact of that on you and maybe people around you? I request the participants to take a picture of this question because it will help them as they break out into smaller groups. I just pause for a moment for them to take the picture here. Yeah. So I'm just going to share the activity in terms of what we are going to do. Like, as you break it into smaller groups, maybe around say 6 people or so, I would request you to identify one person in the group who will summarize the views of the group to larger audience after the activity. And the total time for the activity is going to be 8 minutes. So we will also be practicing empathy as part of the activity. Like, I think we will be listening more and also understand other person's point of view. And in the interest of time and to ensure everyone gets to express their views, my suggestion is to share your name and what you do briefly in 10 seconds, and then express your views on the question in the next 50 seconds. And maybe just wrap up in the last 30 seconds or so. So for all those who may be also new to joining a breakout room, the group activity, you will be prompted to join now. You can just click join. And also at the end of 8 minutes, you will return automatically to this main webinar room. So Anal, if I just missed something, maybe you could just add on here.
Just go back to the previous slide. So if anybody is not taken a photograph or not noted this down, these are the questions you need to answer in the group activity.
Yeah, I think maybe say I'm really sorry for whatever some of the breakout rooms, what you went through, like maybe you were not able to complete, you had less time. So I think this is also something maybe when you want to express and you don't have a chance to express, it feels actually not so good, right? So, but now I think we can maybe look out as an alternative what we can do. Like in the chat box for this question, maybe you could all give your responses on what you really see as an impact of when you show more of empathy more frequently than what you do today. All of us definitely show empathy, right? Because all of you said a yes. When you show more empathy than what you do today, maybe more frequently, many more situations, and maybe to more people, what is the impact of that on you and maybe people around you? So again, I request Anil to share whatever responses that you see.
So Nandita writes of her group, highly satisfied, 2.1, giving back to society and helping mankind.
Okay.
Vulnerability and draw courage from within and others, connecting at the core. And Chandran in that same group says connecting to the human self. Vaijanti's group, I became calmer and not reactive. Adir, satisfied, connected, and supported. Jant, peacefulness within and the energy radiates. Ila, gratitude. Empathy helps me immensely with forgiving myself and others. Creates positivity for the person and the people around. You also feel connected and heard. Felt someone to listen to us. Makes the world a better place. Feel blessed.
Thank you. I think giving back to the society, feeling calm, I think radiating energy, gratitude, and of course we talked about connecting to the core. And also, like when I look at myself, I think one, it helps me develop positive feelings and maybe have a better physical, emotional well-being. At the same time, empathy has helped me have fulfilling relationships in my life. So maybe just I would like to play a video for all of you, which maybe radiates similar sentiments like what you said. And maybe after that, we move on to the next part of the session. Yeah, so I'm just sharing this video. hope the audio is audible.
เขาจะได้อะไร ถ้าเขาทำแบบนี้ทุกวัน เขาจะไม่ได้อะไรเลย ไม่ได้รวยขึ้น ไม่ได้ออกทีวี ไม่มีใครรู้จัก ไม่ได้มีชื่อเสียงที่มากขึ้น เพราะสิ่งที่เขาได้ คือได้แค่ความรู้สึก ได้เห็นความสุข ได้เข้าใจ ได้ความรัก ได้สิ่งที่เงินซื้อไม่ได้ ได้โลกที่สวยงามกว่าเดิม ในชีวิตคุณ อะไรคือสิ่งที่คุณต้องการมากที่สุด
So as you all brainstormed and had a lot of say input, some of you shared after the group activity here. So and then when you see this video, like putting this together, like when you show more of empathy more frequently than what you do, and when many more of us show empathy more frequently than what we do today, and in many more situations than what we do today, and to more people than what we do today, how would you describe the world around you? Could you share your responses in chat box, maybe in 1 or 2 words?
Great clip. Such a beautiful video of giving unconditionally. Very heartwarming. In Hindi, there is a word, apnapan, a better place, amazing world, very positive, happy world, a happier place, alive. Very positive thoughts. Inclusive world. Happy and positive emotion. The world belongs to us. Internal happiness. Sharing is caring.
Yes. So,
selflessness.
Thank you, Anil, for your reading of the chat responses. So, better place, this world. I mean, you're describing this world as a better place, amazing world, an inclusive world, a happy place to live. So now, would you want to leave such a world for you, to create such a world for you and also for future generations? And today, you have that power in us in terms of showing empathy to really create such a world. So now we're going to, maybe I'm going to share what are possible ways that I think maybe which could help you create the world that you want. And I also invite you also to share other possible ways. I think I'm just giving my views on 3 pillars. One is enriching yourself and expanding your worldview and expand the world of others. Like when I say enriching you, it's about asking yourself how you feel. Like when you get in touch with yourself, with your own feelings, with your own emotions, it makes a lot more easier for you to relate and maybe share the other person's feelings too. So in that way, that's one. The second is there are already people in our world, maybe our loved ones at home, at work, our colleagues. Are we giving enough attention to them? A few years back, maybe I was just, I did not make my colleague feel good by, say, I was just hearing what he was saying at the same time doing something on my laptop. So not giving enough attention, like, are we giving quality attention to our own people? Maybe are we listening are we listening to the maximum extent possible and listening without judgment? Similarly for understanding, similarly for feeling. So that's, and given the scenario that we are in and where, I mean, there is a lot of focus on mental health around whatever is going on today, I think the attention to people in your world would make a lot of difference. And more importantly, I think being mindful, like sometimes our own thoughts come in the way of us listening or maybe understanding, maybe our own preconceived notions. Maybe the way we have been brought up, the way we see the world, they come in the way of we being open to listen, being open to understand, and being open to, say, share the feeling with others. So I think practicing mindfulness is a good way, and being conscious of what our thoughts is a good way of enriching ourselves and maybe creating the world that you want. And expanding your worldview. Here, I think it's more about being open. As we said, openness is one of the main foundation for showing empathy. So what's the other person's point of view? Like that, a manager who actually practiced this and asked his team, like, what do you think? To understand their point of view, had breakthrough ideas. And this important shift that he made helped him to really come up with ideas and maybe implement things which he didn't do before. So there are similar things. So as we open up, we get to hear different points of view. And more importantly, about new people, like we generally like people who are similar to us. And maybe there are a few who are definitely associated with people who are different. But when we consciously do that, and when we get curious to know about what their life is, maybe there is today, like as we are maybe stuck in our homes, and maybe somebody from different parts of the world, maybe in a different thing. But wherever you are, there are people who are delivering grocery to your home. And somebody who's braving that fear to come out and maybe doing that, and maybe there are healthcare workers who are doing it, and there could be many more. And at the borders, there are soldiers who are protecting us. So how would their life be? One way of maybe understanding it, maybe is talking to them, and if it's possible, if you have somebody who's healthcare volunteer, and if you have somebody who's going to deliver grocery to your home, and other ways visualizing, maybe like loss of a job is something like not all of us go through, but how would that be really to be in a situation who has lost a job and be volunteer? So today, yeah, physical volunteering, going to a place, getting to know what the world is of the other person may not be possible in all parts of the world, but definitely there are possibilities of online volunteering. Maybe there are students who are kind of say missing their education because their school doesn't have online education. So maybe there are teachers who are doing it, say, literally over phone, and we can be also, say, do volunteer to really share that and also understand what their world is. And maybe the other part of it could be expand the world of others. So it's about like how you ask yourself, how you feel. Maybe you also ask, help others also relate to their own feeling, like how do you feel? And when you help them relate to their feeling, I think it helps them to be maybe to be more empathetic in due course. And like you meet new people, you have new experiences, and you talk to somebody, you got to know of a world of a different person. If when you share that experience, it expands the worldview of others. And the best way, I think, to really be more empathetic is to show how it would be. And that really would inspire also many more people to be empathetic. I think I would like to share a story as we come to the last part of this presentation. Like this is from a village in the southern part of India, where a young resident every evening who switched on and switched off the street lights found this in the switchboard. And like he was just, every time he was coming and switching on the lights, the bird which built this nest was flying away, was maybe getting afraid and flying away. And he saw that, and after, when he really saw this eggs, what he did, I mean, he wanted to help. He wanted to maybe help this bird have a rest, have a home. And what he did is he took a picture of this and shared it in the WhatsApp group, because he's staying with a resident or community where there are 100 houses, more than 100 houses. And this particular switchboard, what you see in this picture is not clear, maybe it's clear here, is responsible for lighting 35 lights, and maybe 100 houses get lighted. So he shared this picture on the WhatsApp group, and also expressed his intention to help this bird and give a home to this bird. So the next day, the village had visited this place, and then having seen what was happening in the lockdown in terms of people even being out of their homes, he wanted to help them. He wanted to have this bird, this home. And finally, with the support of residents and the village, now they allowed this. And what you see here is the eggs hatching, and they have decided that birds will continue to be there until they abandon their nest. So this one person, the young person who wanted to help, and that inspired many more people to really bring part of this and create a world, a different world for this, make a difference to this bird. So I think for all of us today, it's again a choice. Like, there could be challenging times around us, but it's a choice that we can make to really make a difference. And I would like to invite here at this point, because I shared whatever I knew in terms of the possible ways that we could create. I think you would have your own perspectives, your own views. So I invite you to share your views in terms of what could be the different ways that we could create the world that you described, which was a better place, amazing, inclusive, something happy. So I request you to respond in the chat box, and maybe I think as we get more responses, Anil will help me in, say, reading out the responses.
Be less judgmental and be aware of your own biases.
Okay. Yeah, less judgmental, being aware of your own biases. Yes.
Be mindful of the other.
Yeah.
Maintain a positive attitude.
Okay.
Live and let live. You belong for others. Simply reaching out. Listen, listen, and listen. And listen with intent. Empathy is getting into the other person's shoes, but remembering to remove your own first. Compassion towards other fellow beings. Interact with people who hold different views from you. Kindness and compassion. It is a world of interdependency, hence let's understand it. Make the world a better place for everyone. Be human. Helping others. Listen, understand, feel, action. Take the opportunity to help in a way that's in your control.
Okay, so thank you, Anil, for reading out the responses. I think right from being conscious of our own, being less judgmental, conscious of our own bias, positive attitude, listen with intent, helping others. So thank you for everyone who shared your responses here. And I think, as I said, between, like, we have a choice, and it's from our choice that we could really, we could make a difference. So I just want also maybe to reflect at this moment, maybe from our interaction today, like from whatever I shared, from whatever the fellow participants shared, and maybe for whoever got opportunity to express your views and hear views of your fellow participants in the breakout rooms. What is that you would take away today?
Ashok writes, in my group, room 4, we had some views. How are compassion and empathy different? Is charity a part of empathy? Ashok, is that a question or is that part of your response?
That is a question because this came up as a matter of discussion in our group.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Let's hold on to that for a minute.
Okay.
So, Kharthik, some responses have started coming in.
Okay.
Being empathetic can give you more joy and peace than what you believe is possible. Kindness is a habit. To pause and listen more. My
Okay.
takeaway is to be grounded.
Yeah. So thank you. I think please continue sharing your responses. Like, what is that you really take away from here? And so, this is something again, as you really heard from whatever people said. If there's one action that you would like to commit to create a world that you want, you could. You just please write it in the pen or maybe in the digital tool that you have. And if you wish, you can share it in the chat box here. So I'll pause for a moment here and then before I continue.
Okay. All right. So you want me to continue reading a few more?
Yeah, if there is a few more responses, we could, yes.
Caring for others leads to more caring from others.
Okay.
Hold on, it's going fast. Journey of peaceful coexistence starts from you. Having empathy makes one a better person. Empathy is a muscle and we need to build it over time, right from listening to unconditional positive regard in coaching. What I wrote was give, do without expectations. Therein lies true empathy and happiness. Ashok says be accessible to help, volunteer. Listen more. Humble, concerned, grounded, trust building, relationship, healthy environment. Gratitude, collaborate, ability to understand and share the feelings of others.
Okay, I think, thank you all for the responses. So as one of the participants said, empathy is a muscle and we need to exercise. And that's something, I think it's true to all of us. Like also somebody talked about listening more with intent and pause and listen. So yes, pause and also ask maybe what the other person would think really. I think this is something which also I learned and be kind of inspired from my wife when she had a new perspective. Like especially WhatsApp is something a new, I would say, a great innovation today, because even in amidst wherever we are and whatever situation we are currently going through, we still are able to get in touch with our loved ones. So on one fine day, especially during this say lockdown and lockdown time, like she said, and she's somebody who uses WhatsApp, day in and day out. So she said, I'm not going to post WhatsApp status. And that was something like a surprise for me. And when I really maybe asked her, why is that you're taking a decision like this? She said maybe I'm kind of maybe blessed to be wherever I am, but sharing whatever I'm going through, or maybe I'm maybe a happy moments, or it could be something else, but what is the impact of my action on somebody else? I want to be sensitive to them. There are people now who maybe lost jobs, or maybe who are not having so much happy moments in their lives, and this could really impact them. And that's why I want to maybe not post status. So I think that was a really new perspective. I've never thought of WhatsApp status in that way. So similarly, it could be different, anything in life, but just that I think we need to be open, maybe ask, why do you think so, or what do you think? I think that's something which I learned maybe in the past few days. So I thought that's for sharing here. So anybody, like, I think as we have come to the close of session, and really I thank everybody for the responses, for continuously responding and keeping this session going. So just as a part, I would like to share just one quote, like before we leave. So between stimulus and response, there is a space. I think in that space is a power to choose a response. And in that response lies our growth and freedom. This was a quote by Viktor Frankl, and I think today it's much more valid in the context of whatever we are speaking, because we all can show empathy. We have the ability, and it's about just a choice. And whatever happens in the external world, uncertainties, yes, whatever we are going through, still the choice to show empathy, to listen more, and maybe to understand what the other person is going through, and maybe all to share that feeling. The choice is with us. And if we choose, we can take. You can make a difference with empathy. I can make a difference with empathy, and let's together can create the world like you described, amazing, inclusive, and a better world and a beautiful world. So the choice is ours. So let's exercise that choice and make a difference. So thank you all for the opportunity, and also thank you, CFY. I think now the floor is open for questions. I will also stop sharing. And maybe any comments, any views that you have, I think we can share.
Yeah, so Karthik, we had that one question from Ashok's group. How are compassion and empathy different? And is charity a part of empathy?
Yeah, I think maybe is charity a part of empathy? So I think also I invite participants to share their views, because it's something which we do every day. Like empathy is something, like as you said right at the start of the session, it has been part of your life. So you could also share your views to the question like what Ashok asked. But my view of it is, say charity, like where it stems from. Like I want to make a difference, and because I really feel for that cause, and I think and that's where, when I really have maybe understand what that person is going through. Like for example, there is a say trust which supported me in my education in my early days, and now I know how it's to be when somebody say needs support and doesn't have that support. So because I really feel for that, today I do charity in terms of that. So I understand and I feel, I share that feeling to an extent, and so I do. In that case, I think it is empathy. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So any, I think in terms of questions or maybe comments or views, you could really share at this point.
I think here the most important thing is the intent. I mean, charity with the intent, would definitely be empathy. So the intent is very important, and not to, just for the showbiz. That's a difference between the two.
Okay, thank you, Ramendra, for your views. Thanks.
Welcome.
So from whatever was spoken in the session, I think we have a few more minutes. If anybody has any questions or comments or would like to share something, maybe briefly, you could.
I think empathy is very required, not just in today's day, but I think on an everyday basis. Karthik, so I'm hearing around, the concept of what Ashok asked. Charity is part of empathy. The intent is a difference or similarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah.
right. And he also writes, in a corporate environment, a culture which embraces empathy is more enabling.
Yeah, I think I also relate to that statement, like in terms of a culture which embraces empathy is more enabling, because in whatever has happened in the past few months, there are organizations which have not been actually used to work from home, I would say, practice at all. And now they suddenly overnight, they had to shift. And I mean, there have been, say, my own, say, coaching clients who have really shared like how, say, empathy and providing the space for their own team members to really share whatever they're going through, like, and that really has helped them to find new ways of connecting, like so even before when they met face to face, rather than that, now they see an increased connection. So that's something that was very heartening to hear, and I think that empathy can make a lot of difference even in our work environments.
You're very right, because working from home is a completely different ball game. Any thoughts, any questions, everyone? There's a question. How do you use empathy in a coaching discussion?
Okay, I think there are definitely quite a few coaches here in this particular session. So I will share my view and I also invite others to share theirs. I think so empathy in a coaching session is, of course, listening without judgment. So that's something, as we talked about. When you judge, I think as a coach, I'm not in the best position to really help. And I'm not really tapping into the potential of my client. So in coaching, we always believe every individual has a potential to expand, right? So it's and so one is about listening, other is about understanding. So in coaching, we ask questions for clarification, questions to understand why, when the client sees the world the way they see it. And I think that really helps to help them relate to their mental models and their beliefs and their values. And I think that really ultimately helps them to find, find the solution that they want, or the solution that really take them to their goals. So I think I would now leave the floor for other coaches that are to really respond to this also question, like how to use empathy in a coaching discussion.
Yeah, may I?
Yes, Johnny, yes.
Yeah, hi, Jayant here. Yeah, okay, I think empathy is the one of the most important, and if I have to select one quality as a coach, I think empathy lies there. It is working with the client, okay, and that's where it lies. And the second thing is that, it is very simply to understand empathy in our daily lives, we may understand, but to practice, to remain empathetic in right spirit and intent is a matter of a great challenge, which does a lot of good or takes you to very higher limits. I think that's a lesson which I probably would like to, take it for myself. And it is very important. And that's where that we are working with the client. That's very important. That's where empathy lies. Thank you.
Okay.
I just want to add to what Jayan said. This is Johnny here. I think in times with the current situation that we are all going through, empathy while coaching is to go in with an empty cup, which is absolutely sanitized.
Okay, thank you, Johnny. I think I also see comment like self-empathy is also required. We are very hard on ourselves too. Yes, I think as definitely like for us to maybe we talked about giver and a receiver and empathy. So to be a giver of empathy, we also need to have that energy inside to give. So I think in that way, self-empathy works, helps us to be not to be so hard on ourselves. Also, I think I really relate to what that's being said. And at the same time, there are various other modes of getting back your energy so as that you can give. But I think self-empathy definitely helps. Yeah, so Ashok's talking about display vulnerability if needed to create openness and self-awareness. Yes. I think even in maybe in any conversation, when we open up ourselves and when we share and when we actually are willing to be vulnerable, that really gives the space for others to also open up. And that really helps in any conversation, be it in our homes, in our work, or maybe even in a coaching conversation.
Vaijayanti also writes, self-empathy is also required because we are very hard on ourselves too. We always look outside ourselves, but we never look at ourselves when it comes to being empathetic. What do you think, Kharthik?
Yeah, I was just sharing, like, yes, self-empathy, yes, it really helps in terms of not being hard on ourselves. Like, as I said, empathy, when we are a giver of empathy, we are in a place of giving. So that really requires the energy to give. I think from that way, self-empathy is something which helps us to be in a better position to really give to others and show empathy. And yeah, so Vignesh asked how empathy works in family. Like maybe like, for example, I think in this lockdown kind of a situation where, I mean, everybody is in home, maybe even a homemaker even doesn't have a break like what he or she would have maybe in a normal situation, kids going to school. So maybe somebody who's in the family can help out a homemaker. Maybe it could be the son, or maybe say anybody in the family. So, and again, how empathy works in family, it could be a student who is or maybe somebody who is totally stuck at home, not being to go outside even for a walk, and then that's feeling irritated. So just sharing that moment with him, or maybe giving a hug, and maybe that, I think that's all the way we can show empathy. And in family, at homes, it will help in having better relationships, and of course even at work too.
All right,
Yeah, so I think
Karthik.
we just towards the end of time.
Yeah, I was just going to say thank you, Karthik. Everybody, we really appreciate your being here. Um, Karthik, thank you once again. Thank you for your time and sharing of your knowledge of empathy. And thank you, participants, for your contribution, because that's what makes any session a success.